What is up, YouTube? That's it here today. I'm super excited to be back playing more Pokemon Scarlet and Violet VGC content. Today we're doing another Patreon team fixing video. This team was submitted on Patreon in the official team submission post. You guys can send me your own teams on Patreon if you have rentals. I will use them in these videos, play a couple games, and then make some changes and explain how I'm making the changes and the effect of the changes, and hopefully, make some changes that help the team be better overall. We have like 30 or 40 teams. We're doing a couple every single day. And today we're going to be taking a look at Kyler's team. So Kyler says this is their very first team they've ever made for themselves. They did okay with it so far, but I haven't gotten the right tear for Gastrodon. And they're thinking that Heat Rock on Torkoal isn't necessary, possibly detrimental, actually. Hopefully this composition is usable, but I am amenable, I think that's how that says that, to switching components if necessary. So this is a pretty good team for, fixing, right? This team's almost right. I really like a bunch of the things this team does. I think Scovillain's a cool mon. I think Torkoal's a cool mon. I think Rotom, Garchomp are pretty standard, but this team does have a few major flaws. Like, for example, this Water Terra Garchomp with, like, Liquidation, not really as effective as a couple other options we can do. Also, like Rotom and Garchomp, both using water attacks, if Gastrodon happens to be on the board, those water attacks get redirected into your own Storm Drain, which is not what you want to do. So I think the team does a few things right. I think Gothitell's cool, Rotom, Garchomp, Torkoal, Scovillain really cool. Don't know how I feel about the Gastrodon, and the Gothitell slot, while it is cool, can definitely be optimized. So that's what we're going to be fixing after a few games. I'm thinking maybe something like an Oranguru would go really, really nice here with maybe... Let's see, what would go over the Gastro slot? We'll see. I also think a couple of the items and EVs can be changed. We're going to be taking a look at all the EVs and stuff like that this team has to offer, like, right here after we play a couple games. So, like, I think that we can definitely optimize a bunch of these EV spreads. I like that the team is set for level 50. Looks like the EVs all actually make sense as well. So this team looks like, oh, well, that one doesn't. 32 is wrong. We'll be able to fix that. So we'll be able to fix a lot of these IVs, fix a lot of the EVs, fix a lot of the moves, fix a lot of really cool stuff again. If you guys have any teams you want me to submit, even the lowest tier, I will use your teams, make a video, fix it, do everything, make the team the best that I can possibly make it. The last thing I want to say before we get into playing some games is, let's see if we can get this video to 100 likes and 100 comments. If you learn anything, let me know. And without further ado, let's get into some games and go dumpster people with Scovillain. I'm excited. Okay, cool, a Dozo team. I think Scovillain can do great versus Dozo. I think Rotom's great versus Dozo too. I will say this Rotom, the number one thing you gotta know about this Rotom is it's specs, right? But it doesn't have discharge, right? So it's like we have access to like pairing it with Gastro and Garchomp and no discharge. So the first thing you want to remember if you're writing down things to fix for this team, remember to make this Rotom have discharge on it. So Rotom's definitely have the discharge, or we definitely need discharge, but we're still bringing Rotom. It's great versus all these. We can pivot for so many of those mons. And I think that like Scovillain could be really cool. The Rotom set is heavy speed, so we can actually Volt Switch, bring in the Scovillain, and then make the Scovillain faster as well. So, like, these three go really, really well together. And then I don't think you need Gastro, even though it's a good mon. I think Garchomp's just definitely good for being able to repin things like T-Tar and stuff in the back. If they open up something like Hat and want to go Trick Room, I think we have the tools to be able to break them as well. I really, really like this lead. I think the Rotom Scovillain lead is probably one of my favorites that this team can actually do. You go big damage first, and then you bring out the Torkoal to make things that are slower than Rotom but faster than Scovillain get kind of cheesed. It's really, really cool. Like something, so it's perfect for beating something like Flamigo, if Flamigo's like an adamant nature or something. But we'll see how they want to deal with it. We'll see. It's good for also messing with like full speed T-Tars. I think it's great. Because they can't catch something like Rotom, but they could outspeed the Scovillain. So there's the Hydreigon. I think we just ignore... I think with this team, they're probably going to want to be Trick Room, right? I can ignore the Hydreigon. I can just ignore it. I can just go for, not Thunderbolt. You just Volt Switch here. Volt Switch and Flamethrower. So this also makes it so we're outspeeding like a modest Hydreigon. If they're timid, they still outspeed. I can't deal with that. But we outspeed the modest Hydreigon. I don't know if I want a Solar Beam here. I don't technically need the Solar Beam, but it's like the biggest flex in the world. Giga Drain is also probably enough to get the KO here because we're orbed. Flamethrower is the most damage. Solar Beam, though, would let us one-shot the T-Tar, which I'm going to do. So we would Volt Switch here. If they had switched out Hat or Hydreigon for T-Tar, we'd bring in the Torkoal, and then it would allow our Solar Beam to hit for super effective, and we wouldn't have to charge. So big damage here. Like, absolutely massive damage. And so we're going to bring out Torkoal. And so because Rotom outsped Hydreigon, this is going to now activate our Scovillain speed boost. from our chlorophyll, and then we're going to be able to just pot shot this hat off the board. And plus we're using solar beam, which is like the coolest tech. Now, if they were to bring out T-Tar after this, we are big pinned. So this is where I want to talk about the second thing you want to be doing with this team, is you realistically should be utilizing a more defensive Torkoal spread with like Yawns, leftovers, things like that. I think it's going to be just a little bit more value, or even body press to be able to check things like T-Tar. That's just my personal opinion. Let's see who they want to go after. It doesn't really matter who they go after here. If they get a KO on the Scovillain or whatever, we just repin with Garchomp. Dragon Pulse into that slot's absolutely fine. You might not get the KO. We have one more turn to live before we get ticked up by Life Orb. But you can already kind of tell, like, these are slight changes that I'm able to see. I'm able to show you guys in games. So that means the last one over there is going to be Tatsu. And you can see if we just yawned that slot, we'd be absolutely, absolutely fine. The last one's Tatsu, though. It's not T-Tar. So we can actually just pop, like, a helping hand. I actually think I want to go with the Giga Drain, bro. I think Solar Beam, though, can, like, one-shot the Hydreigon. Helping Hand, I mean, this is stronger, right? It's 30 base power difference. Ooh, wait. Dude, I'm going to actually just do this. Helping Hand, Solar Beam, Life Orb boosted. They would, I mean, I would die. And it waste my Terra. I can't do it. I can't do it, right? I'm just going to Heat Wave and go for a pivot into a Rotom again. I'm going to play just a little bit passive. Because, like, I would hate if I went for a big play into the Hydreigon and they pivoted out Hydreigon for Tatsu. And I don't have Sunny. I don't protect either. That's another thing. The third thing you want to write down. You obviously don't want to go Dozy either. That was the most obvious to protect either. You don't want to do that. You don't want to just have all your cards on the table. We can just switch in here easy. And now we can just nuke that Dozo slot easy. But the third thing you want to do is on your Mons that your cores are like built around, you should really try and have Protect, especially if they're like aggressive Mons like that. This breaks Sash on Hydreigon, which is why we wanted to go for the Heat Wave there instead of the Eruption. And we can just do the same type of thing here. I think there's nothing wrong with Helping Hand. And this is the turn that we double dip into the, we're just going to Thunderbolt the crap out of this Dozo, I think. They're going to get their boosts. We can go into the Garchomp. Like, we're not afraid of them fighting Rotom. They should be pivoting out for Tatsu. Yep. And so remember, if I were to target that Tatsu slot, or the Hydreigon slot, Tatsu comes in, right? And he goes inside the Dozo, and so it makes it so you miss a target on that slot the first time. So you don't want to just randomly target Dozo's partners a lot of the time, unless you have to. This is going to get +2, and we want them to take out Torkoal. They should be respecting Torkoal. They should, because like we could be yawning things, especially because we showed Heat Wave, which is more common on like defensive sets. And they're Terra-ing into, is it Grass? They Terra Grass. Oh, Terra Dragon, bro. We have Garchomp in the back. We're absolutely fine. Cool. Terra Dragon is cool. It makes you stab the order up. This is going to still do a lot. Like, this is still going to do a hot amount. And then I think, like, Helping Hand Dragon Claw will get the KO. And then, like, we pin the Tatsu and pin the Hydreigon. I think we're okay. They might not even KO the Rotom here. Like, we're not that bulky, but we'll see. Well, they're faster than we are. Oh, shit. That's a full speed one. That probably loses us the game. Like, because Scovillain just sucks here. We have to bring out Garchomp. Like, I really thought we were going to get, like, half that damage done. Yeah, the fact they doubled up that. They're a full speed Dozo. Full speed Dozo. That's probably going to lose it for us. We could flinch out. And this is where I want to talk about this. This is where something like a Yawn Torkoal would have won this game like 2 turns ago. This is where something like a Sash, bulkier Scovillain would have probably been safer. This is where something like, if you had Discharge on Rotom, you would have been much more ahead. So we're probably going to lose this one. We have to crit through, by the way. We have to crit through the order up boosts. I think it's more, we have a higher chance to get our big crits out than we do we have a higher chance to crit than we do flinch for like 8 turns in a row. They probably have lefties as well. So it's our only real out. And you know they have lefties because they already showed like Protect. So it's like Protect, order up, probably like a water attack and something. So they're probably going to take the Garchomp out here ready to crit. Survey says. Nope. And remember, they have the order up defense boost too. So it's like, this is like a full speed Dozo as well. Yeah, so we're going to take this L. There's nothing that we could have realistically done. But that loss showed everything that we need to do to fix it. Like I said, this team is so close on paper to being really, really good. Torkoals needs to be updated. Scovillain needs to be updated. Rotom needs to be updated. Garchomp does okay. And Garchomp was like the only mon that kind of did its job. That was a really, really cool. I wonder how fast that Tatsu is, because this Rotom is not slow. I'm actually take a look at it. So Rotom Wash, right? Rotom Wash. Right here. Versus Dondozo. Like, I wonder if they have to be Jolly, is what I'm actually looking at. You might have to be Jolly. I'll show you guys the calc right here. So you might have to be Jolly. Set these to 50. I just can't, like, if they would have took like half there, we would have won. But, you know, it is what it is. So we have like 224 in speed. And they get a +2 speed from the commander. Yeah, they're way faster than we have their full speed. And I'm assuming their full speed. They only really need like 156. Not even that. So maybe just like 100. So yeah, they only really need like a little bit. They only need 92 points, which I think is still a big investment. But, you know, it makes sense. And so that's something we know for the future. So, I mean, I think Dozo is a really good core. But the changes we're going to make near the end are going to give us like a 100% Dozo matchup. Like, realistically, like, you should be able to beat most Dozo players in a best of one, I would say. Dozo's still a really, really good team, but it's more of like a matchup roulette victory. And you need to have something for Dozo, and that's hopefully what we're going to be changing after I get a couple more games in with the team. More Dozo! Plus T-Tar Lycanroc. I don't remember if that's Sash or Banned on the Lycanroc, but I think that, like, Rotom is good here. I think Rotom is great. I think that, like, you could technically Rotom Garchomp here. And so I'm going to try the Rotom Garchomp. That is a Final Gambit Annihilate, but we're going to be using this to fodder our Torkoal, get up the sun, and then hopefully use Scovillain after the sun's already active. So, like, if they were to lead, like, T-Tar Annihilate, that'd be the perfect lead for us. They go Final Gambit into the slot that has the Torkoal in after I switch in, and then we set the sun. We then repin immediately with the Scovillain, and we just win the game, like, easy peasy lemon squeezy. That is the idea here. So hopefully it works. They might not even go Annihilate. They might just lead, like, Tatsu. I think, like, Dozo T-Tar is probably what I would be using with that team. It's a very, very popular team. It puts you into, like I was talking about. So the way that you should be playing Dozo is more of, like, a matchup roulette, where they basically have to pick, are you going Sand? Are you going Dozo? Are you going Annihilate? Like, and Annihilate can be weaved into, like, any of these other ones. So T-Tar Lycanroc, absolutely fine. That means the monsters that they have in the back are either one of two things. It's either Dozo Tatsugiri, which are great, nothing wrong with that, or it's going to be something like Annihilate and Rotom, which Rotom Heat is, like, not that great versus this. We have a lot of mons that can check it. So I think it's going to be Dozo Tatsugiri, which means we really need to protect our Rotom here. I think there's like 3 or 4 different ways. I think I'm actually just going to pivot in the Torkoal, and I want to do this. Like, I think this could be really fun. I want to liquidate. I kind of want to just go Earthquake. You know, I will just Earthquake. I know we're Earthquaking our own Torkoal, but I would like to Earthquake the Torkoal so I can unlock my ability to... Well, how do I word this? I think you Earthquake the Torkoal because we want Torkoal KO'd so we can start using Scovillain. That's the idea. And if I want to lock myself... Remember, we're Choice Scarf. So, like, locking ourselves into Liquidate... Not the best play if we're going to be setting the sun. So we're probably going to lose Torkoal this turn, but we will be making so we outspeed that Lycanroc so we can't get flinched by it either. So it's a really, really cool play. If you want to pivot out that, or nothing's pivoting, the T-Tar has HP flying or a Terra flying as well. I remember that about the team. So let's see what they want to do here. You could totally KO this Torkoal with like a Rock Slide or do whatever you want. You can crunch it, close combat it, Rock Slide, there we go. We wanted to avoid that flinch chance. Don't really care about the T-Tar here. I wouldn't even be surprised, like, to see... Would I be surprised to see Crunch? No. Probably Rock Slide. Ice Punch. I'm surprised. I'm surprised. It's okay, though, because now we have great mons in the back. We have absolutely great mons. We have Rotom and Scovillain. Scovillain outspeeds the Lycanroc. It's okay. This is still absolutely fine. These are the perfect mons to be able to check the Dozo and the Tatsu in the back. If they want to pivot things out, that's what they should be doing. They should be pivoting around. And so we're going to throw the big attacks into... Well, we're going to Thunderbolt the T-Tar because we definitely still KO it. And we're just going to Solar Beam that Lycanroc. Like, big damage. This is where if I had Heat Wave over Flamethrower, I'd probably think about using it. But, yeah, we should be fine here. And we don't need to Terra anything right now. I'm trying to think if there's like a reason to Terra. There's no reason to Terra just yet. They might be switching, they might be protecting, they could just be getting double KO'd. Yeah, you switch to the T-Tar, protect the Lycanroc, that is the play here. But we'll see. So they're just going to lose their Tatsu once it's sashed. Okay, is that a shiny Tatsu? That's cool looking. Endure Lycanroc. Hey, that's absolutely fine. Totally fine. So they're foddering the Tatsu so they can bring back in the T-Tar. And I want to see if that's Sash Tatsu or not. And Soul Beam is sick on this thing, man. And so next turn, they're going to think that we're going to Soul Beam again, but we're not. Take a Life Orb Tick. Thunderbolt. Wow, that's thick. With a berry. Okay, cool. So this is definitely the turn that if we want to go into that slot again with Rotom, we just Terra. We're in a Sunny Day here. I think that might be a clean play. We're a fire type, right? Like we're a fire grass type. Yeah, so we're going to Terra here. And just so we don't die to like a Rock Slide. And we're going to Sunny Day back. And then I'm going to Thunderbolt the Tatsu, I think. I mean, I could Thunderbolt this if they were to pivot out the Dozo, but like I'm not afraid of pivot out Dozo. I'm going to go for the Tatsu slot. Show me T-Tar here. Yes! Cool. That's great. So as long as we don't die to Rock Slide, I think we're okay. I mean, they could still flinch us too. But this is one of the really cool things about, like, I really like this about the Scovillain. Like, I would have much rather had Protect, but I think being able to re-Sunny Day here is so sick. Because if you have to bring out Dozo, like, I have the tools to win versus Dozo. They are here. I don't know if they're, like, Dragon Dozo again, but, like, we'll see. So Rock Slide, it can miss. Never lucky. The Grass typing makes so we don't get super effective hit. Thunderbolt. All right, cool. And we don't need to take out this Lycanroc right now. It's actually better that we don't take out the Lycanroc because we want to be able to use our speed against the Dozo. And yes. Value. That's clean, bro. Clean. There's the Dozo. So let's think about how we want to deal with this. If they were to protect Dozo, I mean, I have to Giga Drain into the Lycanroc slot and just Thunderbolt the Dondozo slot. Right? Am I incorrect? Or do I just double into the Dozo and take another Rock Slide to the face? I Thunderbolt the Dozo. Take a Rock Slide in the face. If I have to. Yeah, they're pivoting out. Yeah, I mean, I had to do it just like this. I really feel like this is the play because if I doubled into the Dozo slot and you just protect Dozo, this is matchup roulette that I was talking about. Yeah, we'll see. Let's see how much damage they take. I don't think they're tearing, right? Terra would have... Let's see. I can crit through all those too. They might just be protecting this turn as well. I doubt it, but they're tearing, right? Okay, cool. Yeah. I mean, do you see what I mean, though? Like, it's so hard to fight Dozo with this team. So the changes we're going to make are hopefully going to help versus Dozo. Steel Terra Dozo, bro. That's nuts. Okay. Blocked. Yep. Order up into that slot, huh? Okay. Yeah, I get messed up there. Oh, this is so hard. I don't know how this team is supposed to beat Dozo. I mean, if I para here, I got shots, but I won't. They even have the... Yeah, they outspeed us too. Again, that's the second time. Yeah, we had to need a para there. Yeah, there's nothing we can do. So yeah, we're just going to have to take that L as well. I think this team definitely needs like standard Dozo checks. And for everyone saying like, you have Gastrodon, bro. They haven't even gone for auto attacks. It's order up. We have nothing to pivot on order up. So the Mon that we're probably going to want to add is going to probably have to be a fairy type. And it's going to have moves that can check Dozo. So you guys probably already know where we're going. But we're going to take this one as well. Take this L as well. And I think, again, people are like, why is this the guy fixing the teams if he just loses? You got to remember, like, I'm getting given teams that have incorrect EVs, incorrect items, no protects. Like, there's a lot of things that these teams can't do. And hopefully by fixing them at the end, we'll be able to cover up for a lot of these holes. But it's so hard to pivot. Like, that team that we just fought is a team that won, like, a humongous tournament recently just based off matchup roulette. And there's like nothing that this team can really do to stand up against it if we don't flesh out a lot more of these roles. So I'm going to play one more. I'm getting my win with this team because I think there are more things this team does right than it does wrong. But Ooh, man, Dozo is a terrible matchup until we take some, until we fix it. All right, no Dozo. We take those. All right, so it's weird seeing Hydreigon with no, like, Murkrow. And Make It Rain guy with no Murkrow, so that's weird. This team, though, actually did just win a big tournament as well. I've seen this team's rental before. Let's see, how do we want to deal with Mousehold? I actually think you could probably get away with leading Garchomp here. I like Garchomp here a lot. And this might be a type of game where you just lock yourself on a Rock Slide, pin out that Mousehold, and then from there, again, this is where like something like Discharge would be amazing here. Yeah, I like this play. The same type of thing we've been doing. I don't see a reason to use Gastron here very much. Like our Gastron set, let me go take a look at its spread. It was like leftovers with Yawn and Protect, but like, and that's a really, really good set. It's just that like they have Masquerada, you know, there's so many things they can get checked by, and the Gastron being in the team makes it so we can't use like what our Rotom and Garchomp are there to do. So it clashes way too hard. Similar to the last team that I featured here. It's the Watermons that always make things clash too hard, and you gotta have the right Watermons for the right situation. It's usually never Gastrodon. Like, it's usually just not gonna be Gastrodon. Gastrodon's a really, really good mon. Like, I've top cut multiple regionals with Gastrodon. Two regionals. But I think there are usually better options. Gastrodon's just hard to use if you don't know exactly what you're doing. So let's see. I think that's Scarf Hydreigon. I would love to Discharge here. I'd love it. I would go Rock Slide Discharge. I actually still will Rock Slide. Because one of those guys has a Scarf. One of those guys has a Scarf. And I'm going to Volt Switch into the Goldango to hopefully bring out Torkoal. Okay, cool. Let's see what they want to go into. They're probably Tailwinding with the Hydreigon, and so that's one of the reasons why you want to bring in the Torkoal. It's great versus Masquerada as well here too, but let's see if we can get the flinch. Oh, did I Terra? I didn't try to. Okay, it's them Terra. I'm like, they're going to also Terra Hydreigon, which is why you don't just want to nuke it, because they either Terra Fire, Steel, or Poison. You can never tell which one it is. Scovillain's going to be absolutely amazing here if we can bring it in. So let's see if they get a Tailwind up. We're going to know before Rotom moves, most likely. There's a Draco. This is perfect, actually. This is so perfect. We're going to bring the Scovillain in here. That's absolutely fine. The Garchomp's done with. We don't need Garchomp for any of these matchups. Like, we have the Scovillain. It solves all of our problems. There we go. So we want to come in with... Let's see. If we come in with Scovillain, we can go for a pivot into the Torkoal. If we come in with the Torkoal here, we can just go right into Scovillain. And yeah, I like that. So Torkoal's going to come in. I mean, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter, because we just send the Torkoal out anyways. Yep. I like this play just a little bit more. So you can just go Flamethrower into the Hydreigon, get that off the board. Remember what they have in the back, right? They have the Arcanine there that could have Flash Fire. They don't want to eat this damage. But I think... Actually, we would Flamethrower the Masquerada here. Flamethrower Masquerada, Heat Wave, or even Flamethrower Masquerada, Earth Power to catch the Arcanine on the switch. This is where, again, you'd be cycling Yawns if you had on a Torkoal. I'll go for the Heat Wave. Actually, I'll Eruption. You're switching in the Arcanine. And I'll Flamethrower this slot. Protect. Okay. I'm really, really surprised that Hydreigon's, like, staying in. It's fine with me. Like, it sucks, but it is what it is. Draco shouldn't do that much. That's still a lot. They're way too weak now to do anything, though. Heat Wave might have been better. I really thought that Hydreigon was pivoting it for Arcanine. Almost got it. Wow, never lucky. Alright, so we'll just Heat Wave here. And we'll seal up the same slot with this Flamethrower. We don't want to show our Terra yet, because we want to make them think that we have some sort of weird Terra in the back. And it's also better to save Fire Terra to be able to block Make It Rains from Goldango. And, like, Fire Attacks from Arcanine just a little bit better. Take out that guy. You can Draco Meteor me if you want. But we'll see. This is where, realistically, after this turn, I hopefully don't crit me with, like, a Draco and go through their stat drops. But, like, what I would like to do... I like that they're hitting the Torkoal here. That's actually completely fine. Like, I don't even need to take out that Hydreigon. It's at -6. Like, I can completely ignore that thing and just nuke its teammates for the rest of the game. And they actually take out anyways, right? Next turn they take out. Does not matter. So we're just going to nuke the teammate for the rest of the game. Mousehold. That's great. So we outspeed Mousehold with Scovillain. And Goldango's in the back. So we just go for a Thunderbolt. We want to go for a Flamethrower here as opposed to like something else. And we actually want to double target the Mousehold. You want a Flamethrower because it can burn. And we outspeed you right now. So to make sure the Population Bomb would be weaker. They just get the KO. Cool. We don't even know if we outspeed their Hydro Granite either. We might. Rotom can outspeed those things. Probably not though. Tailwind. That should still be fine. I'm surprised they didn't Tailwind before. Their last mon's Goldango, but like that's one of the reasons why we kept our fire typing so close knit. Because like if they come out and make it rain, we're just KO'd. But now we have like Rotom with Fourths the make it rain. And I wonder what that Mousehold set was. It was probably like Population Bomb with like Wide Lens. That's probably what it was. Awesome, yeah, we should be able to get this one. We don't want to Terra, we don't even have to. They can try and wait out our Sun, but like, yeah, we still outspeed in the Tailwind value, bro! Dude, Scovillain! Dude, that's good. See, like, these are the sort of games that we want to, like, replicate and try our very best to, like, lean into, like, Scovillain being an absolutely massive bully. So that's what we like to see. I'm super excited to get into this team, start working on changing all the EVs, changing a couple different Pokemon as well to really flesh out these flowcharts and give this team like a second, you know, breath of fresh air. So join me. We're going to go get into all the team building. This is a perfect time if you're still watching this video to leave a like and leave a comment. Let me know if you learned anything so far. Let me know if you like these videos, you want to see more like it. And yeah, let's go fix these EVs. Here we go. All right, so those were some pretty fun games. I think it showed a lot of the things the team does right. I really like the Garchomp set with that sort of Scarf speed control. Scovillain was absolutely amazing. Rotom's a good defensive pivot, but it needs to be fleshed out a little bit. Gastrodon's the weak link. The Torkoal EV spread, which they even mentioned in their submission, is a little bit of the weak link, and I don't really think Gothitelle works that great here. I feel that, like, Gardevoir does a lot more, working with a lot less than like having to waste my Terra on like a flying Gothitelle to use like Imprison Trick Rooms. I think like realistically, you would just lean a little bit more into your Torkoal and your Rotom for defensive pivots against Trick Room than having to Imprison. I don't think you need an Imprison mod on this team. But I do like the way the Scovillain's played, and I do think there are a ton of changes that we can make while still keeping the idea of the team the same. So the first thing I want to do is open up Pokemon Showdown. We have the Pokepaste right here. You can see all the Mons right here. I also have all the Mons on a defensive type chart. And I think this team, one of the things that it does the best is it has really, really good defensive typing. We have 2 weaknesses to Grass on Rotom, Wash, and Gastro that are mitigated by 2 resistances to Grass on Torkoal and Scovillain. Like, it's really, really good. The 2 rock type weaknesses on Torkoal and Scovillain are also mitigated by things like Gastrodon and Garchomp. So this is a really, really good example of defensive typing done well. I want to talk about taking out some Monsters that I don't feel are really working up to the team's full potential, and that's taking out this Gastrodon slot. Yawn is the right idea. You do need a Yawn Mon, but I feel like Gastrodon is a little bit too exposed. There's so many Mons. I feel a lot of Mons are using Grass Terra defensively to play against Amoonguss, and they also just add coverage for things like Gastrodon and Dozo. So in being a Gastrodon having a 4x weakness, you're just accidentally getting hit by most teams' defensive Terras, so you can't really have the Gastrodon in this form, but Yawn is the right idea. And the Gothitelle, Imprison Trick Room's cool. Aggressive Friskoth, probably not the right tech. If anything, competitive would probably be better on this team to stop people from intimidating your Garchomp, but I do think you want to take the Goth out as well. But that being said, we are still going to want Mons with Yawn, and we're still going to want Mons with Trick Room, just being played a little bit differently. I suggest that we use a Sylveon. Sylveon for Yawn. Also, remember how I talked about how like Order Up is giving us so much problems? Pivot in on the Order Up. If you use a mixture of like Volt switches with Rotoms, Sylveon coming in, it makes it so they have to go for like, should I be Order Upping? Should I be Wave Crashing? Which one am I doing? Wasting their Dozo turns, allowing you to weave in Yawns. It's the right play in this situation to help cover up for that Dozo matchup. And the last Mon that I think really adds a lot of value in this team is going to be Oranguru. Oranguru has Telepathy, Inner Focus, and Symbiosis, really, really good abilities. And if we actually take a look at the type chart once we add these Mons, the type chart's still really, really good. We lose one of our resistances to Poison, right? Because we're taking out the Gastrodon. And we lose one of our resistances to Rock, we take out Gastrodon, but we're not adding any more like crazy weaknesses. I feel like this is a much more fleshed out team. And Oranguru can go for Instructs. And if you see all the AoE potential moves we have here, this is going to be really, really good. So now that we have all the Mons that we want to be using in this team, let's start fixing some of the moves, some of the items, some of the EVs. I think the Scovillain, I think it's a really, really cool set, but I feel like I was talking about, you definitely want to sash this thing. This thing is like your big mon that you use once you get your speed control. You want to think of Scovillain more like a Lycanroc and less of like an Armarouge. Because right now you're playing this guy as like your bulky guy. Not really bulky because it's still a 252 set, but like you have Life Orb with some Restoration and like Sunny Day. Like you got to have Protect on this thing. You got to sash. You want to make this thing stick on the board as long as possible. You want to make him be here for a good time and a long time. So I definitely think you want to cut the Sunny Day, which is cool. I agree, but it's just not nearly as cost effective as Protect. Protect is very, very good. You can still think about using Flamethrower. I think if it gets Heat Wave, which it doesn't. Yeah, you would definitely using Heat Wave, right? Yeah, you'd definitely be using Heat Wave. I think Flamethrower is fine. And then Giga Drain over Solar Beam. You don't want the Solar Beam. Solar Beam, especially because they're losing the Orb, you don't need the double dip damage. You can cut that slot. I don't know what else this guy really gets. If we want to go special, you can go Will-O-Wisp, make it just like a little bit more of a support mon in some situations to be able to help other Garchomps. You can put Leech Seed on it. It gets Rage Powder. Let's just go Rage Powder. That's great. This is really, really good. You still want that Giga Drain. You still want the Giga Drain for being able to use, the way that I like to organize my stuff, I like Protects on top, but it looks like you don't. So we're going to go Rage Powder down here, and then we'll go Flamethrower, Giga Drain. I like Protects on top because if you happen to select your moves randomly, like you've run out of time, you Protect. So you always know that if you run out of time, you're protecting, so you can already start theory crafting the next moves. But I think it's really good. I love Giga Drain on Sash sets to be able to regain your Sash if you come in and take like chip damage or something. Really, really good set here. The last thing you want to do is you definitely still have to go. Do you have to go full speed? No, because actually you only really need to outspeed Dragapult, which if you remember in the last team building episode that we did, Dragapult caps out at 215. So if we plug in a Dragapult and make it like a Timid or Jolly set, Dragapult caps out at 213. And we do that right here. And again, you can always check on what Pokemon are popular by going to like Pokemon Showdown and go in like by speed and seeing like what mons you need to be outspeeding and what their base speeds are. So you can do that, or you can even go to like Pikalytics and check out usage stats and see like, oh, Goldango's really popular, Murkrow's really popular, Hydreigon's really popular. What's its base speed? You know, it's like right there. So there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. So let's go back to this and see Dragapult. If we make it like a Jolly or Timid, which are both really, really good sets, cap it at 213. So you want to make your Scovillain be able to use its Chlorophyll to double speed to still outspeed Dragapult. Now, you can't KO Dragapult with a Scovillain very easy, but you can still get moves off with Scovillain and KO Dragapult's teammates before Scovillain would go down. That's the idea here. So we have Chlorophyll, which is going to give us a +2. And we are set to level 50. That's Scoliopeed. I was like, that's too fast. Scoliopede's a little bit too fast. There we go. Set everything to 50 as well. So if we double this from Chlorophyll, it's going to double to right under 200. And we just need to put enough speed. So, like, what is it? So something like, it's probably going to be, is it 204? Way less than that. So that's all the speed you need. But again, we're using a Sash set. So like, I think if we're using a Sash set, there's nothing actually wrong with just going 252 speed. You only need 290. You only need 92 to make this actually work. So I think there's nothing wrong with a set like this. Throw the last 4 in HP, you're absolutely fine. And you're good to go. You could also keep the Life Orb on it and use the 92. That set would look something like this. You'd want to end this with a 9, so you take less from your Life Orb. So that'd be something like 68. And then you just throw a mixture of like probably like a 50 to 44 here. So it'd look something like that. The reason you want 68 here is to make it so you take less damage from your Life Orb. If you were using the Life Orb set, like screenshot this. This is the EV spread you'd use if you wanted to keep your Life Orb. But I'm telling you right now that Sash is better. You're going to be able to hit just as hard. You're going to be able to hit just as fast. And you might as well be full speed so you can actually use this thing when it's not in a Trick Room. Like in that last game, we were able to use it in the Chlorophyll to outspeed something in Tailwind, and we matched their Tailwind speed tier and was still able to outspeed them because we were, that's just how we were built. So yeah, I think this set's better, but that one that I had up there worked as well. Torkoal, this is great. You know, you talked about in your team submission post that you didn't really think that the Heat Rock on Torkoal was good and that the Torkoal spread in general was a little bit off, and you're correct. I do think that Torkoal doesn't need the Heat Rock. I also think that like your spread, you're trying to do too much, and without really having a Trick Room board, we're trying to make Torkoal Trick Room. Also, your speed was not set to 0 for Torkoal. You always want to make this a 0 speed if you're ever playing for Trick Room. But I think that Torkoal can be played very, very differently. I still think you want the Heat Wave. I think Heat Wave's still a good move to have. I definitely think you want Protect on this guy to be able to correctly use Yawn. And then the last move slot that you can use here, I don't hate Clear Smog. I also think that you struggle just a little bit with Dozo. And yeah, Dozo can just roll the Torkoal, but you can use one of your teammates to like protect or pivot and just go for one Clear Smog and the game's over. You can also use things like Solar Beam here. You can go Will-O-Wisps if you wanted that instead. You can even go Helping Hand. You can go Body Press here to cover up for like T-Tars and things like that. I am a fan of the Body Press in certain situations. Helping Hand's good. There's so many good things that you can do here. This moveset's like basically just free. Clear Smog is probably one of the better options, but let's just put the Body Press here. And let's actually just run some Body Press calcs to show like what example of stuff you can actually get with this. So let's plug in Torkoal. So plug in the Torkoal here. Make sure it's level 50 set. And let's plug in like a Tyranitar. Because a Tyranitar would think that they're absolutely fine versus Torkoal. And if we kind of flip the matchup on its head, we might be able to get some free wins versus Tyranitar using Body Press. So let's plug in Body Press. Remember, Body Press is calced based off your defense stat, which Torkoal has a 140 base. It's a pretty big number. We almost just OHKO like a Sweeper T-Tar. And so we would like to do that. So let's see. And a Sweeper T-Tar is one that I mean that's like 252 attack, 252 speed. We'd like to be able to do a lot to T-Tar. And we can do that by using 196 with no defense. Let's see what happens if we put the defense boosting nature into it, which would be something like Impish or Relax or something. Let's just put that in there. So we can take out a lot more this way. Looks like we could probably about like 156, a lot less, maybe like 100-ish, even less than that. So we only need 68 points to OHKO a Sweeper T-Tar. Let's see what happens when we make the T-Tar have like full HP. So like just like a, let's say it's like a full HP, full attack set on the T-Tar, which is also pretty common. And let's see how much we actually need. Let's see if we can get it with 252, which we cannot get it with a 252. So because it's still a 75% chance to KO, I don't really think it's worth it. I think just being able to pair it with a little bit of chip damage is fine. So I think the 68 is still really, really good here. You're not really missing out on anything. You can still actually technically almost KO if you get the highest roll, 6%, but that last 15% that you're going to be missing, you can do it with like chip damage from like a Discharge, Rock Slide, Earthquake, anything like that. So 68 is what we want here on the Torkoal. 68 plus, and I do think you want to be speed reduced, but you also need to be speed reduced plus 0 speed. Another thing you can also do if you want to make sure that you can KO that T-Tar is change your Torkoal's Terra type to Fighting to make sure that you can KO that bulky T-Tar. So we want Fighting Terra on a Torkoal like this. And again, that's just my opinion. This is a little bit of a min-max type thing, but you can Fighting Terra to stab the Body Press. And then the Heat Wave's just like completely extra credit. Like you don't need any real investment here at all. I still like using Heat Wave. I still think it's good coverage because like steel types can give this team a little bit of problems. So we're gonna make it for just 4 there because we don't want to waste points. Because remember the first, actually incorrect. We're gonna go 204 here. 204 doesn't waste anything. So if you take one out, it's gonna go to 215, and one more goes to 216. So this is a great Torkoal set. Very, very bulky on the defensive side. Very, very bulky on the special defensive side. You can even think if you wanted to about cutting this Body Press for something like Iron Defense, and there's like absolutely nothing wrong with this. Using like a Leftovers, there's nothing wrong with this. I think the Heat Wave though just lets us still function as a Torkoal. I think a Citrus is probably going to be best on this, and you may be thinking why aren't you using Leftovers? Another Pokemon this team's going to use the Leftovers. It's going to be probably the Sylveon. But I think this is a great Torkoal set. This also lets us soak a lot of damage. Torkoal's very, very bulky on the physical and defensive side and lets us function as a Torkoal should, but also like check things that Torkoal wouldn't normally check. So this is going to be a Pokemon we want to be bringing to almost every matchup now, and we're happy to bring Torkoal instead of Torkoal being like a liability that we use to just fodder to activate Scovillain. Good stuff. This set's wasting points right here. Let's change some of our sets. I think that Specs Rotom is still good. I think it's really good here. But I think you need to have Discharge. And so I would just cut the trick here for Discharge. Sometimes you still want to use Thunderbolt. Sometimes you just want to use Volt Switch, Hydro Pump, stuff like that. You can even put like a Terra here or like a Shadow Ball. There's so many different things you can do. I don't dislike this though. I like the Terra Electric with Levitate. It's good stuff. You probably want like that full special attack. Realistically, if it were me, I'd be using like a 4-4-4 spread with a little bit less special attack. And something like this. This is what I would do for this spread. And the reason I would do that is Rotom's a popular Pokemon, and for a team like this, you want to go first. Like, you have to hit really, really hard first. You want to be able to Hydro Pump Rotom Heats. You want to be able to Discharge and hit other Rotom Washes. And so this is one of those things, if you're not first, you're last. Also, if we take a look at a couple other Pokemon, Rotom has an 86 base speed. So let's sort this by speed. We're going to start seeing that, like, there's a lot of other Pokemon that are around that area. So we're at 86 right here. Those are all the Rotoms. So, like, Scarlet has an 85. Goldango has an 84. If these things are timid and jolly, they're going to be outspeeding our Rotom. So we have to be timid to make sure that we still outspeed these things. We want to keep those Pokemon that are in the 80s and 85s at bay. There's a lot, like, these are all popular Pokemon. This is popular, this is popular, this is good, this is popular. I use this, I use this. You know, these are good Pokemon that Rotom needs to be able to outspeed. And so it would be nice to potentially have a little bit more bulk, but we don't necessarily need it. And I think that just knowing that this is our set, knowing this is our speed tier, lets us solve a lot more matchups a lot easier. So this is why I would use a set like this. Garchomp's really cool, but we do not need Terra Water. I think Terra Ground is absolutely fine on this guy for double dipping. The only change that you want to make, first of all, you want to take this Liquidate off. What do we want to put here? You got your Earthquake, you got your Rock Slide, got your Dragon Claw. Stomping Tantrum is what I would go for here. And the reason why I use Stomping Tantrum on this sort of set is because I don't want to lose to, like, Wide Guard. You're starting to see a pattern, like AoE, 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 AoE with it. Instruct AoE. AoE means moves that hit multiple targets. We can get a little bit pinned by moves like Wide Guard, so we want to have options for, like, Thunderbolt, options like Dragon Claw and Stomping Tantrum, so we don't have to just fall into those patterns. The last thing you want to do, though, is you want to take just a little bit more speed, because I've been using this Garchomp and I've gotten probably 500,000 or 600,000 views on YouTube with, like, just this set over the past few weeks. This is the exact same EV spread that I use on mine. You want to speed creep my own sets. This is now the new Garchomp speed, because this speed creeps people that are using my rentals. So start using this spread because it's just a little bit faster. The main reason why I use this much speed in the first place is because this outspeeds a Scarf, Annihilate that uses Final Gambit by 1 point. Now it does it by 2. So not only are you speed creeping things that speed creep Annihilate, sorry, not only do you speed creep Annihilate, you speed creep the things that speed creep Annihilate. So it's really, really good tech. We have to take some points out. You can take those out of, I would say Special B in this situation, because those are just extra stats without wasting any points. Sylveon, this is where we're going to put the lefties, right? And it's going to obviously pixelate. And so you can even put, like, a Weakness Policy Garchomp, Quick Attack Policy proc. No, I think it's better to go, like, Protect here. I think Protect is good. I think Yawn is good. We obviously would need the Hyper Voice. And what I would do here is probably Terra Blast. And this is where we would think about, like, what mons are giving you the most problem. Like, I will think of a Terra that can work with this team, but realistically, like, this is where we solve for X with this team. Like, what mon is giving us the most issues, and what mon do we need to actually delete off the board? So, like, we do a good job of checking Annihilate with this, but, like, Annihilate can wall this guy pretty well. And so this is where potentially, like, a Water Terra is a very popular Terra on Sylveon in the first place. Also makes so Sylveon loses its resistances to, it loses its weakness to Steel. So, like, Water Terra Sylveon is very, very nice. It also lets Sylveon check things like Fire types. So, like, I would say think about the Water Terra, but if there's another Terra you want, like, think about it. Like, Ghost Terra is also good here. Regular Terra Blast, if you don't Terra as well, it just becomes like a Pixelate boosted move, and lets us avoid that whole trap like we were talking about with the AoE stuff like that. So if you can't Hyper Voice, this is absolutely fine. What we want to do with the Sylveon, though, is actually make it really, really bulky, and we're not going to be all-inning on Special Attack. You don't need to go super hard in Special Attack with this thing. It's more of a wall. I think that we probably want about 100 points in defense to be able to wall other Garchomps and things like that want to go for just AoE, or sorry, like Earthquakes and stuff like that. And then probably I'd put 36 points, because we want to be able to outspeed other base 60s. Base 60s is another very, very popular speed tier. And then from there, you can go like I think you can just get away with like a 4-1-16. I think like being really, really bulky on this set. Also, Water Terra lets us wall Goldangos that are using like Make It Rains. Very, very good set. We want to get as many Yawns as possible. This guy wants to be here for a long time. A Yawn time. Use as many Yawns as possible. This is your new Gastrodon. This thing's your new Gastrodon, but it also checks like dragons a lot easier and is not nearly susceptible to just getting cheesed. Very, very bulky set here. The Oranguru is a bit of a weird one. I think you definitely want the telepathy, so you can pair it with like Earthquakes and Discharges. But we are going to want Trick Room on it. Just so we can totally go like Trick Room and use like Sylveon and Torkoal and just roll people over. That's another cool thing about this team. It's giving you more options than the team had before. We definitely know that we want the Instruct. And this is where I'd put the Imprison. And remember, Telepathy makes so we don't take damage from our teammates, so this is a much safer Imprison user. This last move, though, I don't really know what I want it to be. I think there's nothing wrong with Protect, because also another cool thing about Imprison here is, like, you can Imprison the Protect, right? Imprison would help us imprison the Protect as well. You can also put things like Taunt, Encore here. You can even put Psychic. There's so many good moves you can have here. You can put the Yawn here as well if you just want to Yawn something. I don't know how I feel about that. You can put after you if you want to be really fast. We're going to make it just fast enough to underspeed our Sylveon by 1 point, so we want to be 84. So that's probably going to be about 20 or 28. Yep, 84. Which also still like underspeeds all these guys. So we can just double dip and pair it next to things. Let's see. We're probably going to put the Covert Cloak on it. So it's very similar to the Gothitelle that you had. We're going with the Covert Cloak so you can't fake out in telepathy. Like, they're going to see this team, know it's telepathy, think they can fake out it, and then we're Covert Cloak. I think there's something wrong with Protect here. Foul Play is another pretty solid option. Don't really need like anything else though. I think like Taunt is okay. I think that I'd probably think about using Taunt. And the reason why you want Taunt here is so you can taunt Amoonguss. So you can safely lead this thing next to Rotom to be able to just taunt the Amoonguss and be like, you're done. You're done. And you can instruct, you can also put a bunch of other moves here. You can put like a Psychic here or something else if you want. I think the Taunt's fine. Oranguru can definitely go with the 2v2 HP set. And then we're probably more afraid of special attacks because special attackers are all the big AoE in the meta right now. So like I would probably just go with the 228 here. I think it's absolutely fine just going a 228 and making it as bulky as possible. Like think of what Oranguru's weak against. Yes, you have immunities to Ghost, but like Dark is the big one. Yes, it's weak to Bug too, but Dark is the big one, and Hydreigon's really, really popular. You want to not get one-shotted by their Hydreigon if you can help it. So I would do something like this for this team, and as far as changing the Terra type, I would definitely be changing this to Dark, just so you can avoid Prankster taunts. That's basically it. So this is Prankster, all right, this is Dark, this is Water, this is Ground, this is Electric, Fighting, and Grass. I think Grass is still the right type here. If you really wanted to be like next level, I would make this into Ghost. And the reason we want Ghost is twofold. First of all, it avoids Fake Out, which is really, really good. And the second is we avoid like E-speeds from things like Dragonites and Arcanites and things like that. So those are the changes I would make. I, again, will say the same thing I did in the last one. Everyone's like, these are cool changes, but you didn't play any games with the team. I don't have the rental code. I don't have Scovillain. You know, the only rental code that they gave was this one that we have right here, which you guys can still totally use. It's still a great team. It struggles a little bit with Dozo, but I still think it's great. Hopefully they keep it up. But yeah, I think if they were to make a new rental code, I would feature that in a video. So if you're watching, if you're watching and you like the new changes that I made, think about using this, think about making a rental and we'll feature it on the channel. But yeah, I really do like these changes. I think the type chart's very, very good. We gave ourselves a couple more Yawn users and now we can play the long game and now we have access to Trick Room and Speed Control. Adding the Discharge on the Rotom was a really, really big help here. So if you guys like these changes, you want to see this team in action, or you want to submit your teams yourself, think about checking out the Patreon. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. Let's see if we can get this video to 100 comments and 100 likes. And other than that, peace out, everybody. I'll see you guys next time.